Hi everybody, my name is Jeff Fowler. I'm with the Apartment Owners Association of California. We're one of the largest individually organized groups of apartment owners here in the state of California. There are bills out there right now that want to limit or completely ban criminal history searches, eviction searches, and credit checks. And so we wanted you to know about these things, that there's AB 2203 and SB 1335. These are the two bills that are out right now. And we need to call our state and local officials and tell them how bad this is, not for us as housing providers, but how bad it is for tenants and how bad it is for the entire community. And if you look below this video in the show more part, there are links for you. One is a link to a letter that you can send, and another is a link to a finder where you can find who your state and local officials are. And we've organized a campaign. Make those calls to these different people, and we're going to tell them exactly why this is bad. And just going into why it's bad, if you think about banning the criminal report, this is basically blindfolding you as the apartment owner. And then this is obviously not good for regular tenants because you want to be able to protect and have a very safe environment for your people. And this doesn't allow for that. If you think of the elderly being put in these kinds of situations, it's not good. And what they're failing to remember, the people who make these that are trying to make these policies, is that there are programs in place for people for when they come out of prison. And those are the programs that they can focus on to help people with criminal past. And that's how you help them. Blindfolding apartment owners has nothing to do with helping those people. So let's help people with a criminal past by focusing on those programs instead of just blindfolding us. And then another thing is that they also forget is that there's federal protections already in place. There's a policy called the individualized assessment, and which is what you do. You make an individualized assessment when you read a credit report and you see that they have a criminal past. You take a look at that and you evaluate, is this violent, and is this a drug related? And you take a look at that and you're able to discern whether this is the kind of offense that isn't going to be a threat. And they forget that these things are already in place. And so those are the kinds of things that they just don't understand or they're not taking into account when they come up with these policies. So we need to remind them of what's going on there. And also, when they want to remove the credit report, how does this hurt? So if you think of the subprime debacle, at that time, a lot of people lost their homes. And that was because the criteria that were normally in place to get a loan for a home, a lot of those things were waived. And so people who didn't have the financial cushion or the ability to weather the storm ended up losing their homes. And disproportionately, minorities were impacted by those loans. And so we can repeat history again. If we want to avoid looking at credit reports and take people in, that can happen. But again, this is a case of when helping actually hurts. So removing those credit reports isn't helping anybody. Rental criteria are in place for the tenant just as much as they are for the real estate investor. And so these people, they need to realize that they don't own rental property and they have no idea what they're doing. And so what needs to happen for people who financially need help, we need to improve Section 8, expand it, and make that, develop that program so that it helps more people and it does more. And so that's what they need to do. But instead, they're just focusing on removing things. And again, these policies are horrible for everybody. And when you don't make it as a housing provider, what does that do to the community? It makes the whole community weaker, does it not? We have opportunity zones where investment is being made into small businesses, and you are a small business as a housing provider. They're making communities weaker by weakening you. These are all points that they need to be made aware of, to call your state and local officials. Again, the information is down below there. And thank you so much for taking time to be a great citizen and a great housing provider.